Hi, I hope you guys can see the screen, like the one screen that I'm sharing. Is that okay? Oh, it's because I cannot see you guys right now. It's the computer is up, so maybe if we could put.
You can't see them because of the presentation? Is
Oh,
that
no,
what?
no, because the camera is up.
Oh,
Maybe.
okay. Down.
Oh,
Can you-
perfect now.
Okay, because I can't, all I see is your presentation. Hold on.
Oh, okay, perfect. Then we can
That's
see.
fine. As long as you can see. You can see?
Yes, it's awesome. Hi guys, so my name is Juliana. I am now a researcher here in England, but I'm originally from Brazil. And Christina, she was really keen to have this section with you guys, so to show you how a scientist works and all. But I was talking to her that before coming here and talking to you guys about science, I think you have the right to know if I am qualified to talk about science, right? Because you guys could be asking yourself, like, who the hell is this woman? Like, oh, sorry, but language. Like, who's this person, that is trying to talk to us about science and all? How I approach things is always in a very open way. I have lived in different countries throughout this year, so I always try to be very open, and I don't want to treat you guys like small kids because you guys are not. So we're gonna have a very one-on-one. I'm gonna be very sincere with you guys, and you can also ask whatever you want. There is no limits about financials, how was my life. So feel free to ask whatever you guys want.
So can I just clarify? So Ms. Juliana is saying you can ask her about anything, even when she says financials, like how could she afford to go to college? How did she make it to Europe? Any of those kind of questions, you can ask her, but you gotta be listening and giving our best respect. Okay, thank you. Oh, look how beautiful.
So, feel free also to ask whatever about life and all, because I think this is what we want to do, right? I also want to learn from you guys, because I know that you probably have done much more than I did in my life. So I would also like to hear and listen to what you guys are saying. So just showing like where I'm from Brazil, Rio de Janeiro. And this is what you guys usually see right in TV. It's like, oh, look how beautiful Rio de Janeiro is. It's like the Cristo Redemptor and the beach, and it's always so nice. It is like this, but I didn't come from this part of the city. Actually, this is where I grew up. It's called Cidade de Deus, or City of God. It's a slum. And this is where I spent most of my life until I was 22. So I was born and raised there. Actually, this green building here, let me just do my laser, is where we used to live, like one of these blocks. So we were raised there. And as you can imagine, we had like an open sewer. So this is an open sewer right here. The smell was terrible. It was a lot of crime, but still very nice people living there. And my mom was really trying to make me think, hey, do you really want to live here forever? Don't get me wrong, great people, lovely people, very hardworking, but do you really want to be here for the rest of your life? And I didn't want that. I wanted to do better for me and for my mom. So I studied a bit hard and I went into university. I did pharmacy in a university in Brazil. It's called the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro. It was for free. This is why I had to study a bit more, because then I could get scholarships and go to college for free. So doing pharmacy, it's quite fun because it's a lot of biology. So you learn how the human body works, but you also do a lot of chemistry and physics. So you get to mix stuff. Like here we are having like a class that we were learning how to detect heavy metals from samples from rivers or all. Here we are learning how to do like new medication, like really producing the powder that go into the pills and tablets. And here I'm just showing you guys like the structure of what would be a molecule that we take as a drug. Well, it was really fun. I really enjoy pharmacy. It's 4 years, 4.5 years, depending on how long you take. I took a little bit longer because I had to work also. So the course was quite busy. It was from 8 in the morning to 5 in the night, and I was working nights and weekends to make ends meet, because you guys know how it is. Sometimes you need to help your mom. You have to pay your own bills. So this is what I was doing in college. I then started to work with science, and then I got a scholarship and started to work with really drug development. So if I was to talk about what is pharmacy, I always like to start with something that we all know. It's what we call aspirin. Everybody here probably already had aspirin once in their life. And when we think about aspirin, it's just what we call a reaction. It's when you mix two things, so A and C, and then you're going to get B, and a side product. So what we're seeing here as B is the aspirin. This is, you know, when you take like the pill, this is exactly what is in there, is this molecule that we're seeing here. But for us to get to molecule B, we have to mix A and C. And how do we achieve, like, how do we acquire the compounds of A? It's actually quite a funny story because compound A, like the molecule that we saw before, comes from the willow trees. And that comes from very old times. Like when people are having headaches or toothaches, they would go and take pieces of willow trees and chew on it, and that pain would, you know, get ameliorated. So they were like, oh, so when I chew, like when I'm chewing on this tree, something is going on that it's getting better. Later in science, we start to take this like apart, like seeing piece by piece of what is a willow tree, and then we identified that molecule. The problem is it's a salicylic acid, and you guys know like the word acid means that it's quite bitter to the taste, right? Like if you put on your tongue, it's gonna be very bitter, and also when you swallow, your stomach is gonna be hurting quite a bit. So as a pharmacist, we knew that if we did the acetic anhydride, this is the molecule C here, and we mix A and C, we would be able to get B, the aspirin, and it would be safer for people to take as a drug, as a medicine. And it's nice because the side product, so like what is also produced in that reaction, is acetic acid. And it's the smell you can have in the kitchen. So as you have your flask in the lab and you're doing this reaction, you can smell the vinegar coming from the flask. It's quite an interesting reaction to do in the lab. And then I did quite a few internships with scientists doing my bachelor. I got a scholarship and I was actually in New York from 2014 to 2015. I went to St. John's University at Queens, and it was quite an experience, I have to say. Love the city. It was like the best place to live. It was a lot of hard work. So just to give you guys a context, I didn't speak English until I was 22. It was not common in Brazil to learn English, especially if you're like from a low-income family. So I had to learn English in 3 months to be able to go and start to take classes at St. John's.
You said St. John's University in Queens?
Yes.
Okay, do you guys know St. John's? Have you heard of St. John's? No. Okay, thank you.
It's quite a nice university. Of course, it's not as big as NYU, Columbia.
It's famous. It's a very famous college. And some people know them for the basketball. If they don't know
yes.
the college stuff. Yeah. Okay, sorry.
No, please interrupt me as anytime that you guys want to interrupt me, please do. You know, this is a conversation and I want to answer whatever you guys want to ask. But yeah, St. John's is I think it's a quite nice university. And for pharmacy, it's a great university, actually. And the PharmD program there is great. I had the experience of spending 1 year with fantastic scientists and also pharmacists, and it was fantastic for me. It also helped with my English. Well, after that 1 year and a half, I had to go back to Brazil, and then I could graduate from my undergrad. So I went there, spent a year and a half, came back, and then I could get my diploma. Then I was a pharmacist. I do like to work as a pharmacist. So working as a pharmacist, you're in the hospital, you manage the medication to patients, you have to give advice to doctors what they can mix as medicines, what they cannot mix. For example, it's very common that cancer patients, they are infected by what we call opportunistic infections. So maybe some bacteria that for us, they're like people that are healthy like us, it would be quite innocuous, it would not make us sick at all. For cancer patients, they can be actually quite dangerous. And then it comes a question, these patients already getting a lot of medicines for the cancer. What can we give to them that would still be safe enough? Because you don't want to put even more stress on these patients. So after I graduated, I worked a little bit in the hospital doing this, preparing the medication, you know, like when you go to the hospital, you have the patients with the IV bags going to the side. I used to do that and manage, also do the paperwork to order more medicine that we would need, and so on, so on. It's great. It's really nice. I really admire people that can do that, but I really wanted to go into science. The problem is I didn't have money, so this is why I was working as a pharmacist, because doing a master's or PhD in Brazil, it's for free. but they don't pay you well. Sorry, I will ask you guys to bear with me because I'm a bit sick. So I'm sorry if I, sneeze or cough a little bit. But that was the problem. I was in a situation that I could not stop working because I was the breadwinner for my house. So I have a young brother, and I need to pay for his school. I need to help mom. My dad was not in the figure at that moment. It was coming, like, yeah, I'm back and then I'm gone. So we could not rely on him. So I was the financial safe net of my family. So I could not stop working. That was my major issue. I need a scholarship again. So I got lucky. And of course, luck comes when you apply for things, when you try things. I got a scholarship and they would pay for all my tuition fees and still give my stipend that I could not only live in the Netherlands, but help my family a little bit back in Brazil. And that internship, the whole master's was actually in the Netherlands, in the north of the Netherlands, in a small city called Groningen. So here you can see like it's a very Dutch city with the canal and the windmill, and it's very cold, so dark. So it's difficult.
Juliana, can I show them? So if you guys look on the map, you see the red,
Yes.
red dot here, that's where you're pointing to, right? That's the Netherlands. So can you show them where New York is, where we are?
No,
Yeah.
Bronx is here,
So
so
we're around there, so that's Europe, that's the Netherlands. Okay, thank you. Just to give them a sense.
I think we can I put like the previous right in New York, like where yes, so New York and then Europe and then the Netherlands. So it was nice. I also got some side jobs because you know how it is. If you want to travel, and I wanted to travel a little bit, I needed to do some work, and I worked. I was able to save and do some small nice trips, such as Italy or Greece. It was a really nice time. I learned a lot again. It was internship. I did 2 internships in the lab. It was one in chemistry, but then I also changed to the computational part. And the computational, I will show you guys later, is really to try to see the whole systems of diseases and proteins in the computer. We will talk later about how to do that. And then I graduated in 2016. So now I had my bachelor, I did my master's, and the next step would be a PhD. I applied for my own grant because I'm going to be very sincere with you guys. It's not easy. People don't want to hire a person that is a non-white person. I'm going to be, especially in the Netherlands. They look at you, they look down at you. They're like, well, you already did enough. Why do you want more? And, I remember back then, one of my professors asked me, well, why do you want to do a PhD? You could start your own cleaning, company, and it would be very successful because people love Latinas cleaning the house.
Cleaning company?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is what I told you guys. I'll always be very transparent with you guys. I'm not gonna lie about anything. This is what
Hold on a second, I wanna make sure that they understand what you just said, cause one of the girls was asking, so did she used to run a cleaning company? So
No,
what happened was, Miss Juliana was very good in science, she got scholarships, and she kept moving up, and she's ready to get her PhD now and go for that program, which is very, very at the highest level. And one of the people that she spoke to about it said, why do you wanna go so high in school when you could just start a cleaning company, because Latinas are really good at cleaning, so why don't you just, you could make money? Do you guys understand, like, is that a compliment what they're saying to her? Not really, they're saying, oh, that's a stereotype, right? Yes, it's wonderful if you have that job and you can do that, but she wanted something else, but they're saying, oh, you can only do this because you're from here and you talk this way, you understand? So it's like trying to take away her freedom to be who she wants to be in this life. Okay, thank you.
Don't get me wrong, I did cleaning jobs before. There is no shame on that. I clean office, I clean houses. There is no shame on doing that. But I don't think that people should limit what we want to be. I don't think someone else should tell me what is my max. So if I want to do a PhD, I will do a PhD. If I want to open a cleaning company and, indeed, I can do that, but that's not what I want. So I should not let people tell me what to do, So I was like, okay, if nobody wants to hire me, I will have my own grant. I did this, I got a nice grant, and then I could start my PhD in the Netherlands again, but in the north, in another lab. with a very nice, friendly supervisor then for my PhD. And here's the building that we were working. Very nice, was brand new at the time. And here's like the little office space that I had back then. What I did here is that I used to go into the lab very much and handle animals and handle bacteria. For my PhD, I really wanted to do more on the computational part, so coding, and then try to understand like to model systems. So here you guys can see like a little protein that I was working at the time. And in purple here, maybe it's not so big. There is like a medicine binding to that protein. We will talk more how this works later. Oops, yes. So it was quite interesting because I could work with different diseases. So my major interest was always cancer. But I had the opportunity to then have contact with other diseases, such as spinocerebellar ataxia. And you guys must be like, what is this? It's such a complicated, long word. For me, it is. So I just put this video here so you guys can see what are the effects of this disease. This disease is genetic, so you're born with it. So what happens with you is that here we see this man, and you can see that he has a certain difficulty with his face, like the motion of his face is troubled. You can see here, oh, I cannot point, but you can see on his fingers that he has motions that he cannot control. The major point with this patient is the walk. You can see that they have a guide. So they have certain difficulties to coordinate their steps. So you can see that for him, it's quite difficult to keep it walking. And this is the thing, we didn't know what was causing this disease. Why were some people born with that and some people were not born with that? So what you have to do in this case is that you have to take a little bit of the biological material from the patient. So it can be a blood sample. It can be what we call biopsy, right? That you take a little piece of a tumor. In this case, he didn't have a tumor. So we just take like a blood sample. And then we could study a little bit deeper what was causing this disease. So I'm pretty sure you guys are quite aware of how the human body is. We have organs, organ systems. They are made of organs. Organs are made of tissues. Tissues are made of cells. Cells contain organelles. And these organelles, they have what we call macromolecules, being called proteins, right? And this is the thing. We know that many diseases, they are associated with proteins going wrong. And in this case specifically, we found that when we compare the blood sample from this patient and all the proteins from this patient that I showed you guys with a healthy person, we identified, we apparently only have more 10 minutes. Maybe we will have to restart, but maybe we'll do that for the questions, but no problem, we will find a way. But just to moving, so we found that this specific protein, that is a channel, we call a calcium channel, was the problem. So here you have what we call a 3D structure of a protein. And when we see the video, you can see that there are orange spots. And we identify that every time that we have mutations in this part of the protein, the person would have then ataxia. So now that we know what is causing the disease, we can try to treat it or at least make these patients healthier. I also work with COVID doing my PhD. So in blue, you have a protein from the COVID virus, is what we call the spike protein. And in orange, we have a human protein. So in this study, we wanted to understand how does the virus is able to get into the human body, attack our cells and make us so sick. And we could then see that here we have this virus protein interacting with the human protein. And then what we did a 3D model. So this is what I do. We did this 3D model and we start to see how it would go, the virus from, you should have, oh yeah. So here we have the virus protein and the human protein. So we did this back and forth. So the protein from the human binding to the virus and the virus binding to the human protein. Once we understand how this happens, we can start to work on vaccines or even like pills that could help to avoid it. This is what was done with all the vaccines that we had available 2 years ago. So that was the type of study that I was involved, that was trying to help to develop these vaccines. There's also some fun sides. So as a PhD, you have to teach. So I had a lot of undergrad students, so people from either bachelor students or master students. I also had some high school students coming to do 2 or 3 weeks with us. And I always try to make it a little bit fun because it can be a lot of work, but if you try to, make it fun, I think people feel more comfortable also to build, this kind of sense that they can always approach me for anything and that I'm there to help them, not to tell them what to do. So here we had the cake day. I brought some cake. I took them to IKEA because it was the cheap hot dogs. So we went there and we did a full hot dog lunch with ice cream because I was also not, swimming in the money. So I told them, I'll take you for lunch at IKEA for hot dogs.
Wasn't it like that? Oh, shit, no? I told them you can't explain.
I also took them to do a little painting workshop for the end of the year as a gift.
Miss Juliana, they think you're saying that you put the ice cream on the hot dog before you eat it.
Oh, I do with the French fries. So I dip my French fries on my ice cream, but not the hot dogs.
Oh, she dipped the French fries in the ice cream. Because I said, oh, it's something you guys would like to do. Would you like to have a hot dog lunch with ice cream? And they're like, oh, no. What do you mean? Yeah, you guys say yeah. It's just you don't put them on each other. Okay, sorry. Questions, guys? Okay, all right, Ms. Juliana, keep going.
Sure, it's just to show you guys that I think science, as I told you guys, there are people there can be very harsh, but I think you can also build a nice community. And these girls and the other students that I had, also boys, girls, or LGBT people, we really built this nice little family. We went to this workshop of painting. It was really nice. We had the whole afternoon and night to do it together. So this is what I'm trying to build, is like a place that people feel comfortable to not only work, but also to, be themselves. I defended my PhD beginning of this year. So here's the cover of my thesis. It was on kinases that's in a protein specific for cancer. And here's the ceremony. It's a quite formal ceremony. You can see that here they had the weird hats and all. But it was quite fun. I'm gonna say this, I was very proud because this is the thing that we don't do much, right? We don't get proud of the things that we do, that we achieve. Every time that you guys pass a test or you finish a year in school, you should be proud of yourself, being very sincere, because we know how hard it is to get there. That nothing was given to us, and yeah, you should be really proud of yourselves every time that you finish school or you achieve a good grade, because you know the hard work that you put on. So be proud. And then it's what I am now. So I finished the PhD. I want to become a researcher, and they offered me a job here in England. So I'm in the Midlands. It's like the middle of England. It's in a small city called Coventry. It's very nice. Like here we have like some castles, like the ruins of some castles. We actually have 3 in the city. Very, very funny to see so many castles in such a small region. It's very easy to go to London, so you can go to the Buckingham Palace, Baker Street from Sherlock Holmes and all. And here's the building that we are that I am working at this moment. It's a very nice building, brand new too. The facilities are great, really love it. It's a full center dedicated to antibiotics research. So here I do the computational, but we also have people literally producing bacteria that have mutations, trying to understand how they really are, like in a flask, like, hey, is this bacteria going to be resistant to this antibiotic? And then we have another group that is designing new molecules that could be antibiotics in the future. We have then the hospital right across the street. They have patients that are daily giving us information on if they're infected or not, and that we can study like side to side with all the other aspects of science. So the Howard Dalton Center, it's quite nice. I think it's one of the biggest 4 infectious disease in England, or it's coming to be in the future, because we are doing quite a nice job here. So just to close this part of me talking, my major job here, it's related to antibiotic resistance.
The kids are saying, oh, isn't this what we're talking about in class? So I say, yes. Okay.
Yes, it is. So this is why we're going to have a second session, and we're going to really go into antibiotic resistance and what is going on there with the drugs and the medicines, and how we identify this and that, and how can we understand. what's going on. So just to give you like a broad idea of what we're doing here in the Howard Dalton Center, it's imagine you have a bunch of bacteria. Actually, human beings, we have more bacteria in our body than we have cells.
Wow.
So we're all populated by bacteria, and it's fine. Actually, it's quite helpful. We're gonna talk later about how some bacteria, they're actually friendly for our health, while others are not, and how the friendly bacteria inhibit the bad bacteria to grow and kill us. But what happens sometimes that you get an infection? It might be that maybe you had a really bad cut that then got some bacteria in and got infected. You take antibiotics and you see that you have improvement, right? Then the infection got better for some time. You didn't finish your whole course of antibiotics, you stopped it before. What happens is that you see that the infection comes back even worse. And this is why, because the bacteria develop resistance to antibiotics. Once you give the antibiotics, some of them will not die. They will be then able to grow and have a full new population of bacteria that are now resistant to the antibiotic. I do think that we need to restart the call, Ms. Christine, because we only have a minute and 30.
Okay, so, should I close it and reopen it again, the Zoom?
Yeah, I think that is smart, but that is it, like for general. So let's close it and come back for questions. Is that
When we
okay?
come back, okay, so I'm gonna close the Zoom, I'm gonna open it again, and you guys have the time to ask questions. I'm gonna do it right now, thank you. Okay, we'll be right back. Okay. Okay, relax, we'll be right there.